Alright guys, what you have in front of you is a spread of the X2, X4 clutching along with some of the RMAX clutching. And I'm going to go over some of the similarities and differences between each. As far as the CVT belt goes, the X2, X4 and RMAX use the same belt. Your bearing support cage is a lot beefier on your RMAX. Let's look at the springs. The X2 and X4 had I don't know if you call that red or orange spring, and the RMAX has a blue spring. They're the same dimensions as far as fitting in the spring cup, and so they're the same dimensions. Obviously they probably have different spring rates. Just to compare, this is a Gen 1 Viking Rhino Wolverine spring, and that's the RMAX. So let's go to the primary. Your primary and your RMAX shares the same grease cover as your X2 and X4. Notice how it's devoid of ribs here. I'll take this grease cover off, and then I'm going to get a machine sheave and show you the similarities. I'm going to take this out of the holder, get you a little closer shot. So the left is your RMAX sheave, and the right is your X2, X4 sheave that's been milled, machined. Notice the similarities. On a stock sheave, this roller channel is not, it's round, and it's been milled to give you more low end. Well, looking at the RMAX sheave, looks like they took a sheave, machined it, and then used that as a base for the casting for the production RMAX sheaves. It's possible they may cast it and then machine it afterwards, but those look like casting marks, not machine marks. So right out of the box, the RMAX sheave has been optimized over what you're used to with a standard Yamaha sheave. It's the end points go even further than before. I'm not going to bother removing the grease to show you the high side, but you can look here. It's pretty thin compared to here. So that's where you're getting part of your 70 mile per hour from. I'm going to put the grease cover back on and turn it over, so bear with me. Okay, so I turned it over, and you can see the belt travel at the top end. I'm sorry, at the low end versus the top end. This is the primary sliding. So if you were to look at a stock sheave wear marks, belt travel wouldn't be as wide, and it looks very similar to a machine sheave's belt travel. There's still some room to play here, but they've done a good job of having this stock sheave have pretty good high and low from the get-go. So the other thing is this collar This is a RMAX collar, RMAX sheave. It fits into your X2, X4 sheave. So it wouldn't surprise me that when they start releasing the part numbers for the 2021 X2s and X4s, you're going to see, this is my prediction, you're going to see some RMAX sheave improvements in the 2021 models. Let's look at the fixed primary on the RMAX. Once again, decent belt travel, stock. You got some nice beefy cooling ribs, fins. I think this is larger than the X2, X4. Similar design. I don't have stock X2, X4 fixed primary to see if it'll fit on the RMAX. This is the secondary. A lot of improvements here. Notice the number of rivets, and they're recessed. So when your belt comes down, it's not going to hit them. The other improvement is they increased the number of pin sliders from 4 to 6. And this is more apparent when you look at the sliding secondary. You can see the 6 channels. Also, that has more rivets. I guess the additional rivets increase rigidity. The spring cup. The secondary spring cup is basically the same, except they've added a rubberized sleeve on the outside. One of the techs here probably predicted correctly that that rubber sleeve prevents the spring from gouging. I also think it keeps it centered, and it can help prevent binding or flex. Okay. So this is the secondary spring cup retention nut, and that fits on my X2, X4 secondary. You cannot retrofit the RMAX secondary to the X4, X2 because this internal diameter is a little bit larger and looks like maybe different splines. Look at those cooling fins. That's the first shot you saw. Pretty beefy. Let me get my other X2, X4 secondary. You can see the difference in cooling fins. What else do we have? I believe that's one of the couple more things. Your cam plate fits inside the old sheave, so they're reusing the cam plate. But the most significant thing, look at the RMAX roller compared to an X2, X4 roller. The RMAX roller is much larger than the previous gen. And not only are they larger, they are lighter. This is aluminum, not some kind of steel or brass insert. I'll tell you the dimensions later. Let me get a better, closer in. Left is the RMAX roller. Right is a heavily used X2, X4 roller. Anything else I'm missing here? I don't think so. Okay, so that's the differences in the RMAX versus X2, X4 sheave. Key points is they've improved, they've increased the number of slider pins, so you have more load distributed on the spring cup. And the spring cup's been improved with a rubberized sleeve to help prevent the spring from gouging the sleeve and to keep the spring in alignment. You obviously have a different spring rate. We'll have to find out if blue is more or less tension than the red/orange. I think that's orange. The primary sheave, there's no lip anymore. They removed the lip on all the sheave surfaces, and no ribs, and it's been pre-cast after a machined style sheave. So out of the box, I'm sure the aftermarket they'll get some additional performance from milling the sheave further, possibly, but consider that on the outer channels it's already thin enough. I don't know if you could take in more material. On the inside, same deal. I don't know if you could go any deeper. Your belt travel is it's pretty good. So you might be able to squeeze a little bit more, but it's not going to be as significant as the X2, X4 with a machine sheave. And really with the RMAX, I mean, you got 109 horsepower, more torque than a Polaris General throughout the entire RPM range. So why do you need that extra? I mean, 70 miles per hour is plenty for me. It's probably plenty for most people, unless they want to get into drag racing, their sport utility. Low end, that's something that the RMAX doesn't lack in. So we'll see what happens. But just to give you another walk around of all the components. And then I'll give you a shot of the with the sheaves removed. There you go. RMAX sheave dissection. Thank you to Black Hills Power Sports for the clean facility and tools to give you this evaluation. Thanks for watching.